is so that we can broadcast this and, for people who are able to watch from home, they all can. And let's see, it should say somewhere, right? You're broadcasting. Yeah, it says live on Facebook. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Thank you so much for joining me on you. I know you have a lot to do at 11 a.m. on a Sunday morning, so I appreciate you joining me today. This is first of our kind community forum. I've been thinking about it for a couple of years on council, and really, I think during the campaign, it was like, we have to embrace the virtual world of Zoom and start doing this virtually. And when we're able to meet in person, then hopefully we can meet at different businesses in San Ramon, meet in different neighborhoods. So I can be out there in the community and give our neighbors and community an opportunity to come and talk to me and be available to them. So that's really the goal of this community conversation. They're frank, they're, nothing scripted. We just go with the flow and answer the question. So with that, I'd love to start off with a round of introductions. If there is a role you play in the city in terms of committees or commissions or have in the past, do share that as well. I think that's important for people to know as well. So why don't we start with you, Billy?
Good morning, Billy Hurley. I am the chair of the Transportation Advisory Committee for the City of San Ramon, and I also represent the city on the Contra Costa Transit Authority's Citizens Advisory Committee. That's a mouthful. So my world revolves around transit, and that's my big interest: transit, housing, things like that.
Thank you, Dave.
Just had to unmute myself. Yeah, Dave Owens, a resident here. I serve as the vice chair of the Arts Advisory Committee. Sabina is our liaison from the council. And then I also serve as a board member on the San Ramon Arts Foundation, which Sabina is also a board member.
Thank you. Eva.
Hi, Eva Harris here. I'm a resident of San Ramon of 10 years or so. And I also just applied for the Parks and Recreation position in the community. So I'm going to be interviewing for that in February, very excited, and also helped Sabina with her campaign. So,
Patrick.
Hello, my name is Patrick Vanier. I've lost count. It's 45 plus year resident of the city, even longer for the county. I'm a prosecutor by day. I work in Santa Clara County. I used to work also in the Contra Costa County DA's office. Public safety issues are certainly kind of on the forefront of my mind because that is my wheelhouse. And so I'm always sort of looking for how we're addressing public safety issues in the city, and certainly sending those any advice or any recommendations I can on to Sabina. Sabina and I have known each other for several years now. We've sort of involved ourselves in certain political circles, and that's how we've come to know one another. And I supported her in her last campaign, actually in her previous campaigns. And I am currently an applicant for the Technology Advisory Committee, and I'll be interviewing for that next week. And so I'm looking forward to that and working on issues of technology on behalf of the city if selected.
Thank you. V.
Okay, V Chick. I am an 18-year resident of San Ramon. I've taken several of the classes offered, the project management, the San Ramon 101, and the Police Citizens Academy. I presently work at Blackberry, which is located in San Ramon. And I tend to stay in tune. I get the emails from Catherine Anderson about what the county is doing. And so I just like to know what's going on in the county, what we all can do to assist with any issues in the county. And just, I think knowledge is the first step, just knowing what's going on.
Thank you for joining. Sarah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah. I'm a proud resident of San Ramon also, and I am just kind of like an involved community member looking to get more involved with what's happening in our city and our community, and looking to get more voices heard in San Ramon as well. So I'm just really excited to be here and to hear what's going on in San Ramon. So thank you, Sabina.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining. And everybody else, I don't have a split screen, so I don't know who else is joining on Facebook or watching on Facebook, but I think we also have the live stream. And if, Billy, if you could maybe help monitor if there are any questions on Facebook and I need to answer, if it's possible for you, that would be helpful. Thank you. So this was a big week for us, I guess, as the economy opened back. The restaurants are starting to come back online. Well, as soon as the economy opened, it started pouring and raining. And so I think it's taken a little bit of time for things to open up. But I think we're going, we are on a trend to where it's getting better. I was just looking at the numbers. In the last 14 days, we've had about 213 cases in San Ramon, which, although not bad, it's still 213 cases in 2 weeks. So we just need to be very, very aware. I think as long as we practice social distancing, washing our hands, wearing the masks, doing all the right things, we can protect ourselves. To date, we've had 12 deaths in San Ramon during this entire pandemic. Again, that may seem like a small number, but for the 12 families that were impacted, it's a very big number. 7 of them were actually in long-term facilities care, and 5 were not. So that's kind of, not to begin with something grim, but I think that is something we have to keep at the forefront, and know that, this pandemic can reach anybody and can hurt anybody. So that was kind of, and then we mentioned, County Supervisor Candace Anderson sends out her weekly updates. So you can certainly go and subscribe to her email. She also does, the city is doing a city updates forum. I don't know if this will be every week now or every month, but that's where county supervisor also comes in and we get the updates on the COVID situation as well. So I would encourage you, if you can, to tune into or watch those on YouTube as well as the city broadcasts. And there's a city newsletter along with that, which also sends out weekly updates on some of these. So that's another resource for the residents to subscribe to and get updates from. As far as the vaccine goes, and that's a question I get asked the most now, we are in 1B, and 1B means it's 75 plus, 65 to 74-year-olds people, and then I'm trying to think, anywhere where people can congregate or be frontline workers. So those are all the different age groups or demographics that are being vaccinated now. I know we have our San Ramon Valley Fire that's really stepped up in vaccinating people in Bishop Ranch as well. It is a joint effort through, I was talking to one of the representatives at Kaiser as well, and they're part of the community, of the county effort too. They're getting their own set of vaccines, and the way this vaccine distribution is happening, it's happening on a weekly basis. And so if you have signed up and you're waiting your turn, you may not know just a week before whether you will get the vaccine or not, because that's how the distribution system is working. So the federal sends it to the state and the state sends it to the counties, and they distribute it to different hospitals and things. And that's on a week by week basis. Contra Costa has promised to vaccinate everybody, well, not everybody, but 1 million residents by July 4th. And our population in the county is about 1.3. So that means most of us will get vaccinated, hopefully, as this rolls out. So fingers crossed, right, that we meet this. I think.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes.
Based on Supervisor Anderson's email that I received several days ago, she said they're going to go back to 75 and older. So my question was, for those that were under 75 and got the first shot, does that mean they won't get the second shot until they turn 75? Or,
yeah.
Okay.
And anybody who's gotten the first shot, yeah.
Okay.
Anybody who's gotten the first shot. So basically the form right now that they have on the website, you can sign up based on what you're allowed to, and then they reach out to you accordingly. So I think they probably have more 75-year-olds that, need to get ahead of the line, and probably they want to make sure they're doing that. And then just, I think most people know this, but I want to make sure everybody knows that this is a no-cost vaccine to everybody, because it is paid by taxpayer money. It is free of cost to anybody to get this vaccine. So that was kind of my update on COVID.
Hey, Sabina.
Yes.
One thing I can add, if I may, I don't know if everyone has heard about myturn.ca.gov. I know it's been the large rollout has been piloted down in Southern California and San Diego and LA. So we can't use it to schedule, but you can use it. I went on, answered some demographic questions, and got a text message basically that when my tiered phase opens up, I'll get a text message saying, hey, now your window is open for vaccination.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to push that out more, because as people are asking that question, and I signed up for it too. So thank you for bringing that up, Billy. Any questions, anything I can add more on the COVID update, or, any questions you guys have?
Yeah, I have a question. We have a couple hospitals in San Ramon, or at least one hospital, and then a Kaiser facility as well, and then a few clinics, and then we have first responders, both fire and police. Do you have an update on how the vaccination rollout has occurred in San Ramon? Like, for example, has the San Ramon Police Department been vaccinated? Has San Ramon Fire been vaccinated?
Yes. So all our frontline workers, police, fire, they've all been vaccinated. And this started happening late December, early January. So it was ahead of schedule, because they were thinking they'd get it. So yes, everybody who opted to get vaccinated is vaccinated. That is why the fire department is now coming in and helping with the vaccinations as well. And then the Kaiser facility told me that they will be vaccinating for Contra Costa in Walnut Creek, and in Dublin. Right now, they haven't rolled out a plan for the San Ramon facility yet, just because there is a limit on the vaccines. But whether you're a Kaiser member or not, you can go to a Kaiser clinic, if it's your turn, and they're partnering with the county. So yeah. I think
We do have a comment, Sabina, just for everyone's information. I'm sorry, Miss Chakrabarty, if I butchered your name. She's informing us that when you go for the vaccine, you will be asked for insurance, but if you don't have it, it is free. So someone who has it, you're still going to be asked for insurance, but no worries if you don't.
Okay, thank you for letting me know. I was not aware that they would charge insurance for it. And that would be Rita Chakraborty. Thank you, Rita, yes, so much. And thanks while you're watching that on Facebook. So city updates. We actually recently just upgraded two of our city facilities, this Al-Costa Senior Center and the San Ramon Community Center. Unfortunately, we won't be able to use those for a while, but I think once things start opening up, those facilities we'll see newer facilities, especially I think the Al-Costa Community Center and that big room where a lot of people rent it out for big events and things like that. It has had a major upgrade and an update to meet the requirements of the community. I think we'll do some more enhancements around lighting and things like that as well. I did ask that as we are building our new buildings, we should either look at LEED certifying or look at how much energy we've saved, because we're using LED lights now. It's going to be much more efficient. And how are we decreasing our carbon footprint as part of a new rollout and new facilities where our lighting and everything. Because last year, the city of San Ramon actually won an award last year we won an award because we've changed our street lights to much more efficient street lighting. And that was recognized in the League of California Cities, and we won a platinum award for that. So very proud of it. And I think sometimes at the city level, we do a lot of these things and we just don't articulate them well enough to show, the progress we are making towards saving the planet as well. I think that's very important, at least for me. Along those lines, Contra Costa actually passed a climate emergency act in September. And they're asking all the local and regional agencies to support and help them. So I did ask for it to be brought in front of council. I think it's very important for us to look at how we are part of this climate action. I know the city does a lot of that work as part of a general plan. We built it in, but we haven't laid it out. And one of the asks from residents, a lot of residents to me, was our climate action plan. How are we updating this? How are we tracking it? And this, you need resources to be able to do that and separately manage all of that. So I've asked for it, and once I have an update, I'll let you know. The other hot topic on our last council meeting was the MUDS restaurant and the MUDS facility, Crow Canyon Gardens. It was an interesting conversation. We deliberated for quite a while. The recommendations that came from the Parks Commission to us were that one, we maintain the serenity of the park. Second one was programming and what kind of programming should go in it. And the third recommendation, the first two, I think the entire 5 council members agreed on. The third one, which was something that we all of us didn't agree on, was whether we should keep the MUDS facility, use that, or bring it down and build up a rotunda there. My opinion on that was, yes, I don't want the cities to spend $9 million on keeping that and running programming in it. But if we can just keep it there as something of historical significance, I like to call it a Disneyland kind of structure, where it's there, it's part of that whole nature park and everything. That was my recommendation. And then, like I said, so we made a couple of motions. 3 of the council members agreed that we should go with the rotundas. And so I would have loved my alternate, actually Mayor Hudson's alternate motion to have passed and continue to look at the building and see how we could get creative with it. But it didn't pass. What passed was by majority then. And I voted in favor of the recommendations from the Parks Commission, because I do want this to move forward. I don't know if there's still room for negotiation. and still exploring to see if we can maintain some of the historic significance of those buildings. But so far, the way it's been voted on is that we will go with these 3 recommendations of keeping, the nature park as a nature sanctuary, programming through the Parks Commission, and then a rotunda in place of the restaurant building that is there right now. I know it's made it in the press. We've had multiple inquiries, but that's kind of, that's the update from my end, and where things are with that facility.
How long has that building been vacant, MUDS? So MUDS didn't exist when I moved here in 2016.
No.
It's my understanding it's been vacant for a while, but how long has it been vacant?
So when I moved in 2006, it was there. And I remember going there and eating there. And then a couple of years later, I'm like, I swear there was a restaurant somewhere here. I don't know what happened to it. You know how you move to a new place, you discover these places, and then I'm like, I swear. So I think it was around, I can't tell you the exact number because I don't remember it, but at least 10 to 12 years it's been vacant. I mean, it was first of its kind, farm to table concept. It was a really cool restaurant, and their parking lot down there and everything. But businesses, they go through hardships, and Virginia Mudd, from what I've heard from people, she worked really hard. She, to work with the community to bring this to San Ramon, and unfortunately, it didn't work out. I still, there's, I don't know if you've ever taken a walk around there. It's interesting, right? You can still see in the windows, there is, some of it's literally kind of, if you've ever been to some of those abandoned towns in California off of the highway, it's something like that. So it's interesting, but that park setting is beautiful too. It's got the creek, it's got the redwoods. I've ran into these people, some people who were just, it was an theatrical group that was just there and doing, acting there. I'm like, where are you guys from? And they were somewhere from San Francisco. And they're like, yeah, we were just looking at where could we go. And we found this, kind of open space. And we decided to come for our, outdoor theater here. So that's interesting. I mean, it's a very unique park. I'm glad we'll be putting money towards it to make it usable for everybody. I know our Parks Department knows what they're doing, and our Parks Commissioners also know what they're doing. But I think there is a desire in the community to kind of have something that we can hold on to, and it could be something small, but that was my opinion. The other hot topic that I've been getting a lot of emails on is the marketplace and what's going on there. Again, that's something which the developer has just brought plans in front of the commission. There is no application right now. There was a lot of community feedback on the planning commission meetings. There's a lot of feedback going back to the developers. I just kind of wanted to explain the role of the city as well in all of this, because we have now these new rules and laws, right? California has a shortage of housing, and every city is required to plan for housing. Not, we ourselves are not, San Ramon is not building any houses, although some cities can, but we're required to plan for this housing. And part of the planning, which the city has done, is that we bringing housing to the core or the downtown of San Ramon, so that we are continuing to protect our hills, we're continuing to protect our neighborhoods, and so how to build it within, in the core downtown, and that becomes more of a walkable district. And so we have developers who are bringing applications who want to build in that core downtown. And they have a right to do this. They are following the rules. And you go through the process. And so I would say, if anybody has not seen the planning commissioners meeting in late December, that's a really good meeting to kind of give you a good feel for how, what was the feedback that went back to these developers. What are some of the things that the community, we had 250 plus comments, what the community is talking about. So it's a collective effort. Again, as your representative, one voice, I can't stop a developer, but how can we create rules, and how can we do things which we get buildings which align with the rest of the community and are part of the community, and we continue to plan and build for what's best for San Ramon, but we also have to have our responsibilities for meeting our RENA numbers. And RENA numbers is something which a lot of people are not familiar with, but these are regional housing numbers which are given to every city. Right now, we are in the middle of determining what that RENA cycle is going to be, and how many housing do cities need to plan for over the next 8 years. We got very, very high numbers. It almost seemed ridiculously high. And I just saw a report on Friday which said actually there were lots of errors in those numbers, and there was double counting. So we are continuing on a regional level as part of ABAG, as part of other agencies, to advocate for San Ramon so that we have a balance. For me, a big question is infrastructure, right? I want to make sure that we have, as we build, and that's something we took to our state legislatures on Thursday as well. And I asked them a question on, as you're planning for housing, as you're asking local and cities to build for housing, what about water? How are you planning for water? And actually, nobody's thinking that long-term, right? We're thinking long-term about housing. We're not thinking long-term about water, which concerns me. And so I put that on their radar. I'm going to certainly work with Rebecca Bauer-Kahan, our state representative, to see that if she can help us take this to the state, as we ask for more housing and fulfill that shortage. We also ask for infrastructure like water, like broadband, like roads. All of those things bring a community together. So anybody have any questions on any of those updates?
To the empty lot next to City Center. My understanding when I was doing the Planning Commission training was that was going to be apartments or low-cost housing or some combination of the two. Do you know what the status is? I've not seen status on that in a while.
Yes, so that's going to be hotel and apartments. Again, that was approved as part of the city. So when City Center was initially approved, they were going to have housing on top of City Center. And so this part of this was that the housing was peeled off and put to the right side if you're looking at it. And with that empty lot, I have asked about the update. I think with COVID, everybody's holding off. If you remember, City Center was going to be here 12 years ago, and then
Yes,
the
I
economy
remember those first ones.
Yeah. And then the economy tanked, and actually 12 years later, they came with a completely different plan. So that's what I think now everybody's holding their breath and holding off on building anything till there's more clarity around what happens with the COVID situation, everything, because all of those plans are approved. And so
Even the empty lots approved, because
Yeah.
I know if we build housing there, that addresses a lot of the ABAG concerns, especially if some of them are Section 8, right?
Yeah, so our ordinance now asks, the city of San Ramon has an ordinance which asks that any new housing that comes in San Ramon should have 15% affordable housing built into it.
Right.
So part of that whole, they will have 85% market rate housing, but 15% in there will be affordable housing, and you wouldn't be able to tell a difference, right? And that's the best way to build. Yes, so whenever that comes, I will go back and check on an update, but my understanding is there's a holding pattern based on what happened with the economic conditions. But I can tell you that our overpass across the Iron Horse overpass across Bollinger is moving along really well. We're in the design phase. We're determining what's the best design. We've hired a really great design firm. We have the funds for it, and so that's moving along well. We are also updating our Olympic pool right now. So in a way, it's a good time to update some of these and rebuild some of these facilities because they're not being utilized.
Well, I just hope that as they think about removing the grocery center that would be within walking distance of all this housing, that they think about first the housing that should go in that empty lot as opposed to tearing down the only grocery store nearby.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think we've got another 15 minutes or so. Dave and Billy, if you guys have any updates from your committees, I would love to hear, if you would like to share those.
Yeah, thanks, Sabina. So we just got an update last TAC on the overpass as well, and the basic concept has been decided on. It's just that they're looking at, is it going to be straight? Is it going to be curved? It's kind of the finer details and the logistics of getting it built, and how that's going to affect traffic. So it is definitely coming. I think Robin, he said, I believe I heard him say in the 18 to 24 months. So I thought it was going to be a little bit farther out than that. So it's exciting because I go down there on my bike every day to work. So it'll be great. Another thing, and we are CCTA advisory committee was canceled. But another thing in regard to Iron Horse, there's talk of expanding Iron Horse, getting dedicated bike lanes and pedestrian lanes to alleviate some of the congestion. I was on there yesterday, and I mean, it's great seeing everyone out there, but man, was it packed. So next CAC, I'm gonna ask that question to see if I can get an update on that. So because that's some exciting news from the county to get that expanded with everyone being out and about.
Have you seen their 10-year plan?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I also represent San Ramon on the Iron Horse Regional Committee. They canceled the meeting for next month, but I think we'll meet in March. And yeah, the 10-year plan is quite exciting. And if that can align with San Ramon's 10-year Parks and Trails plan, and we can get some of the money moved to San Ramon with that, that would be really cool.
And a lot of the conversation around funding, well, one, it was good that when COVID hit, they started planning for the decreased revenue, and the decreases were not nearly what they thought they were going to be. And also doing a lot of studies on traffic with the remote learning, rerouting, prioritizing the money from things that might not be necessary right now with the decrease in traffic to things like the Iron Horse Trail, where people are walking and riding and biking more. So we will see.
Yeah, Billy, this is Eva. I actually love the idea of having a dedicated bike lane on the Iron Horse Trail, because I too used to ride my bike to Dublin to work. And although in the morning it was clear, but sometimes in the evening it could get a little heavy, and getting caught in a dog's leash is no fun. So I love that idea. So just wanted to add that.
Thank you. And a friend of mine shared, right? Husband actually got hurt on the Iron Horse Trail because he was biking and he looked down for a second, and before he looked up, there was somebody walking in front of him. He tried to save her and he fell and actually broke his ribs. So yes, it's a safety issue big time as well, that we separate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dave, any updates from the Arts Committee Foundation?
Sorry for the dog joining. He must go walk around Lake Annabelle, so we'll do that.
Why would you apologize for the presence of a dog on Zoom? This is
I'm not really that sorry, to be honest with you. I was just, doing it for. Okay. No.
Thank you is what we should be saying.
Yeah.
Thank you for the dog.
And Kevin supports Sabina despite the fact she's a cat owner. So. Yeah. So the Arts Committee. So we actually have a couple things that are really exciting to announce. So to piggyback off the overpass that Sabina talked about, there's a library, there's going to be a piece of public art on the library. And we just now approved an artist who's going to develop that. So hopefully in 12 to 18 months, you'll see some type of sculpture there. We sent our recommendation to the Parks Commission, so they still need to approve that. But we have selected an artist, and that artist will work with the city to create something. We had a lot of great submissions. We ended up, tiering them 1, 2, 3 to give the recommendations to the Parks Commission. But I would have been happy with any of the 3 artists, frankly. A lot of really great stuff. And the thing with the overpass is the idea is you should be able to walk over the overpass, look down, and see that piece of public art. So that is very exciting. One of the other things that we approved is we approved a something called the Social Justice Project, where it's a bunch of nonprofits that are going to come together and create artwork, and you can actually give submissions now if you're a San Ramon resident. That will be in the skate park area, and it's to do social awareness and things like that. So I've actually been tasked as the Arts Committee member to work with these nonprofits to make sure that it's still appropriate to be on city grounds. That was a request of the Parks Commission. So I'm really excited about that. Submissions are due by May, I believe. So if you look up Social Justice Awareness Project, you should be able to look at it. I didn't write down the email, unfortunately, but if anybody has questions, they can contact me.
Hey, Dave, I got something for you. I got some work for you. Rita in the Facebook comment, she was pointing an idea for the future, the artwork on the utility boxes. She says the artwork on the utility boxes are beautiful. Can we highlight those and who the artists are and the locations? It's a great idea.
That's
for
a wonderful idea.
Future newsletter or future forum like this.
Yeah. What was her name?
Rita.
Rita, here's my email, dao1282@gmail.com. Write that down. If you want to email me and get some ideas, I can share that with the city, and maybe we can do that. I think that's a great idea. We just recently launched a interactive map where you can see all the pieces of public art in the city. If you go to the city website, you can find that. So there's a lot more pieces of public art than you would imagine in the city. But I think her idea of, hey, here's where these are. If you want to go on a scavenger hunt and find them, and here are the artists associated with, would be a great idea.
That's actually a fun idea in the COVID environment, creating a scavenger hunt for yeah, that's good.
Yeah. And so, and then the final thing is, so the property is kind of on hold now, but if you look at Deerwood and San Ramon Valley Boulevard, there's a, I forget the name of the market there. You know, Billy, what's it? The one that you and your wife go to all the time?
A windmill?
The Windmill Farms.
Windmill, yeah. So there hopefully will one day be a structure there that has been approved, but we approved public art that will go there whenever it's built. It's by the same artist who has the who did the children. If you go to Central Park with their hands open like this, so that same artist will be doing a piece of art for that.
Yeah, and that project has been approved since 2016. It's and that is supposed to be affordable housing, but again, and you know, it's financing and all of those things, which affordable housing is not that cheap to build, and that's why it's so hard to get some of that as well.
Right. So assuming they can get funding, you know, that piece of public art will be out in front of it, but so hopefully it'll be up someday.
Yeah, and that goes back to the city's policy that every new structure that comes in the city kind of brings a piece of art with them.
Right.
And so, yeah. Anybody else would like to?
Didn't even know. So the makeup place, right? Forgetting. Alta. Yeah, there's like a piece of public art outside there. So look for the interactive map on the city website. You can look at all the public art.
Would anybody else like to share updates? Just any questions? Anything?
No, but thank you for doing this.
Of course. Thank you so much for joining. Well, we couldn't, you know, be meeting this week and not ask you about the whole stock hype and how's BlackBerry feeling being in the middle of it all.
Yes, John Chen and I had a little discussion about that. It's like, what the heck is going on? Because he didn't know either. I mean, initially, this is just the very beginning.
Yeah, like
and
Monday.
Quickly we realized somebody's messing with the stock. And the scary thing is that people can mess with the stock and artificially inflate or deflate a stock. So, you know, it's just one of those things. Only, you know, your annual reports our reports on how we're doing are the things that should impact the stock price. But we all know now that, unfortunately, you know, your hedge funds and a bunch of kids can artificially inflate or deflate a stock price. It's a little scary.
Yeah. I mean, power to the retail bankers now. And, you know, we've been having, obviously, this is all of our adults, I would say, found this out Monday morning or Tuesday, finally, what's going on with the different groups and everything. But we've been getting a lot of presentations on the we, if you will. I want to talk about this, the we culture and this generation of young adults. And maybe Sarah can add to this, that they're doing things collectively. Right? This is a trend, you know, just the stock market is one thing, but really the way this new generation thinks is how do we do this, which benefits everybody. And as we're doing city planning, as we're thinking about long-term, you know, businesses and everything, we have to keep that mindset at the forefront that, you know, people, I mean, maybe our generations were more about independently and what can we do for a family maybe. But this generation is what do we do for each other as well. Sarah, I would love your opinion on some of this because obviously, you know, it's a learning opportunity because it's a younger workforce that has driven up the market. And what I like to say, you know, it's moved from the boardrooms and the golf courses to Reddit and online. And it's not something to be taken lightly because it's part of a trend. So I would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, of course. I'd love to kind of chime in here. I think that like there's two like motivations behind everything that's been happening recently with like young people and this and that. I mean, the GameStop stock was just one example. I don't know if you remember the TikTok campaign rally scandal that happened too. It was the same exact thing. It was young people collectively joining forces to make an impact. And I think it really boils down to like a generation of kids who feel almost as if they've been like patronized for far too long. They've been like, oh, you'll get there. Like you'll get to the point where you matter in society. You'll get to the point where you can make a difference. Just wait, just like stay in school, keep doing your thing, keep working hard. But it's like, those words after a certain point get like, annoying, patronizing, tiring. And then it's almost like we have realized in the last couple of years that there is power in the numbers. There are so many people on this planet, and if you can get them all to unite behind a common goal or aspiration, it doesn't matter who you are or how old you are, you can make a change. And I think like finally young people are starting to recognize that their power, and their potential, and they're using what they're best at, which is tech. They're using social media. And these platforms are not to be taken as a joke because, we basically had an entire presidential race on social media, because of COVID. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of like kind of young people realizing like, wow, we are so not alone in our goals and dreams for the world. In fact, there are millions of people just like me across the entire planet who want the same thing that I do. So why don't we join forces and like make it happen, So it's coming from a place of like, I would say partially it's kind of like not resentment, but like trying to prove something. But at the same time, it's also coming from a really good place of like, well, we have the power to change the world. Let's do it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like a broader perspective of what's happening. Cause I can tell you that GameStop is just one example, one example of a larger movement that's happening.
Thank you so much for sharing. And that's why I think we need young representation on our committees and commissions as well, because we need to hear all those voices coming together. And I do encourage, everybody to stay involved, be involved. And I really appreciate your insights, Sarah. Anybody else? Eva, Patrick, do you guys want to share anything from the DA's office? Or?
I don't really have anything to share per se, but I do have a comment when we were talking about the arts committees and all the things going on there and highlighting the artwork. On Nextdoor, I see a lot of people posting wonderful photos of San Ramon, whether it's, the arch of the trees in the park or just the beautiful views when you climb a hill at the top of the hill and the sunsets and all that. And maybe there's a way we can highlight some of those in your next newsletter. So just a thought.
And another plug, I guess, Dave, you were starting a book club as well through the foundation.
Oh, it's a film club actually, but it
film
operates
club,
like a book. No worries. So there'll be some announcements that come out next month about that, but the Arts Foundation is working on trying to do a virtual film club since we can't really go to theaters and we can't do the foreign film series that we all love because we can't go into a theater. The idea is that we will give you a movie to watch via Canopy, which anyone can watch for free with a San Ramon library card. And then we will have a discussion towards the end of the month on the movie with an expert. So the first movie we're selected is an older movie called Meet John Doe, which is kind of about the dark side of populism and media sensationalism. And me and my co-host Patrick Gutierrez will be talking with a film professor who's actually written several books on the director. So, show up, watch the movie ahead of time and then show up February 28th, 7 p.m. is our first event. And we're gonna chat and, you guys can feel free to ask the professor questions as well.
Dave, where do we find more information about that?
It's coming. So we're working on an email right now. An email will go out through the city, which will have a sign up and a Zoom link, and then the Arts Foundation. If you're, and I would recommend that you sign up for their mailing list if you go to their website. There will also be information there, but that'll be coming maybe in a week or two on the websites. So sorry, I can't give you more information now. It's kind of been a work in
That's
progress.
that's totally fine. Patrick, did you have any update you wanted to share before we wrap it up?
Not really, but I do want to say, like, this has been hugely informative. Like, this is fantastic. I think it's hard, especially for commuters like me, even though I'm not commuting quite as much these days with COVID, to kind of stay up to date on what's happening here in the city. And this has just been like very comprehensive. It's covered a variety of topics. I'm really interested in what's happening on the art front, and there was so much update in that regard, as well as on the transportation front, that this has been a great sort of check-in to find out what's been happening with the city, recently. And certainly I look forward to participating in this more, so I can kind of keep up to date on what's happening, because there is our city government is it's fairly comprehensive. It covers so many different areas and subject matters, and I think it's really hard for the average citizen to know what's happening. And having an opportunity to participate in a community conversation and forum like this really helps to sort of stay in touch. And I look forward to hearing more about this film club and some of the other projects that are going on in the city. So I really appreciate everyone's participation in this today, and Sabina certainly for leading this and really keeping us up to date.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you saying that. The goal is with this meeting that we do a monthly cadence. Since this is the first one we've done, we will still figure out what's the best timing to maximize people's involvement. Otherwise, we're also recording it so you can watch it later on. I'll put it on the different social channels as well, so we meet all demographic needs too, as much as we can. And if you have suggestions, recommendations, what we're doing, the way we're rolling out this communication is a monthly newsletter followed by these updates. If you would like to participate, you are welcome to join. If you're on our commissions or committees, I will reach out to other folks and have more of our commissioners and committees join us on this forum, so we can get a wider set of updates as well. But really appreciate you taking the time today, joining. I know we went a little bit over by 3 minutes, but it's important, and I hope we've created a space for more people to see this and say they would like to join this next time. Invite your friends, reshare this, so that, again, it's a community effort, so it'll spread one person at a time. But thank you everybody for joining, and hopefully I will see you in another month's time, but I'm here available. I did want to make sure that I have office hours Mondays and Saturdays that are listed on the city's website. If you look me up, Councilmember Sabina Zafar on San Ramon website. You can email me anytime, of course, and I'm reachable, approachable. You can Facebook message me and I'll reply to that as well, or Instagram, or whichever is the most convenient way for you to reach me. And thank you so much. Everybody have a wonderful Sunday. I might do a bike ride on the Iron Horse Trail, so if anybody's interested in joining. But I will see you later then. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Sabina.
Bye.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for joining.